Hey Reddit, throwaway account for obvious reasons. I don't even know how to start this. I feel like the dumbest man alive. You always think you'd know, that you'd see it coming. But I didn't, not even a little. My wife, let's call her Melanie, and I have been married for almost 5 years. No kids. We never really wanted any. Our careers kept us busy and honestly, we liked the freedom. We traveled a lot, worked hard, lived in a decent apartment downtown, and had a pretty chill routine. At least I thought we did. Melanie works in fashion marketing. Lots of meetings, client visits, industry events. I work remotely in IT, so I'm home most days. Over the last year or so, she started using ride shares more and more. Nothing strange there. Parking in the city is garbage, and we agreed it was safer and faster, especially when she was working late. But at some point, it stopped being just convenience. She started mentioning this one driver more often, Mick, or Mike, something like that. Eastern European dude. Said he was funny, polite. The only one who drives safely in this city. I didn't think much of it. I mean, we all have our favorite barista or delivery guy, right? She'd come home some days giggling about something Mick had said. You wouldn't believe what my driver told me today. I even remember joking once, damn, should I be worried? She laughed and rolled her eyes like I was the one being ridiculous. Don't be jealous of the guy driving a 2015 Corolla, she said. So yeah, I dropped it. I trusted her. I mean, we had issues. Who doesn't? She could be intense, high-strung, dramatic, sharp-tongued, but I chalked it up to stress. Work, deadlines, bad sleep. She'd snap over little things, like how I folded the towels or the way I chewed gum, but she always cooled off eventually. I just wanted peace. Looking back now, all those late-night, work meetings, the sudden uptick in gym sessions, and her checking her phone in the bathroom for 20 minutes, it was all there. I just didn't want to see it. Anyway, this is just the beginning. I'm still putting the pieces together. What happened next shattered everything, and I'm not even sure I've hit bottom yet. Alright, Reddit. Here's where things go from mildly suspicious to what the actual F***. So last week, Melanie says she's going out for a client dinner. One of those, you wouldn't know them, they're in textile distribution kind of things. I barely glanced up from my laptop. I was deep in a deployment at work and honestly, I had stopped asking questions when she went out. What was the point? She got dressed up, and I mean dressed up. Tight black dress, full face of makeup, hair done like she was going to prom, not business dinner attire. I made some dumb comment like, wow, do textile guys care that much about cleavage? She shot me a look and said, God, you're such a child, then slammed the door behind her. That should have been a sign. But again, I brushed it off. I poured myself a whiskey and settled into some mindless gaming to wind down. An hour later, I realized she forgot her laptop. She's always glued to it at these meetings, emails, files, presentations, the works. So I figure I'll be a nice guy, stupid me, and drive it over to her. She's been using Uber exclusively lately, but she always gets dropped off at the same trendy downtown restaurant when it's a client thing. So I head that way. Now here's where shit gets cinematic. I'm stuck at a red light near the alley behind that same restaurant, sipping my coffee, when I spot a familiar little black Corolla. Same dent on the back bumper I'd seen in our parking lot before. It's just idling there. At first, I don't think much of it, but then I see her, Melanie. She's in the back seat, but she's not alone. She's on top of someone, and they're not talking. They're not having a business dinner. I couldn't even move. My brain glitched. My heart tried to crawl up into my throat. I sat there frozen, watching my wife, with this greasy-looking, buzz-cut having, sunglasses at night wearing knockoff Jason Statham-looking dude. His hand was up her dress. Her lipstick was smeared. She was laughing. She was ing laughing. I must have stared too long because at some point she looked up, right through the foggy rear window, and saw me. And just like that, the moment shattered. She flung the door open, stumbled out in her heels, screaming, "What the hell are you doing here? Are you following me now?" Following her. Like I was the psycho. I didn't say a word. I just held up the laptop she forgot and tossed it on the curb next to her. Then I got back in my car and drove. Fast. I don't remember the ride home. I just remember shaking. Cold. Numb. Like I left my body somewhere back there in that alley with the shattered pieces of my trust. She didn't come home that night. She texted me this weak-ass message around 2 a.m. that just said, "We need to talk. I'm sorry you saw that the way you did. It's complicated." Complicated? No. What's complicated is how the hell I didn't see it sooner. Okay, let's talk about the fallout. After catching Melanie mid-thrust in the backseat of her lover's Uber, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark of our living room with a bottle of Jameson and a spinning head full of what the F*** just happened. I stared at our wedding photo on the mantle for hours, her in white, Me looking like an idiot with a bow tie and actual hope in my eyes. She didn't come home that night or the next morning. No call, just that text. We need to talk. I'm sorry you saw that the way you did. It's complicated. Complicated, right? Because being caught sleeping with your driver in a Toyota is such a nuanced situation. She finally showed up the next afternoon like nothing happened. Sunglasses, messy bun, cold coffee in hand like she just got back from a yoga retreat. I was sitting at the kitchen table. I didn't say anything. I just watched her as she stood in the doorway like she was the victim. First thing out of her mouth, "I can't believe you stalked me like that. That was such a violation." Stalk. Not "I'm sorry." Not "let me explain." No, she was full-blown gaslighting me right out the gate. I told her, calm as I could, "I came to bring you your laptop. You left it. I didn't even know you were going to be there. You were the one grinding on some discount Fast and Furious extra like it was your ing honeymoon." That's when the switch flipped. Suddenly she's yelling. Full volume meltdown. Crying, screaming, slamming cabinets. Accusing me of never being emotionally available, of killing her spirit, of making her feel invisible. All the classics. She said she didn't plan for this to happen, that Mick just got her, and that she'd been so lonely for so long. Mind you, this is the same woman who once told me, "You breathing too loud gives me migraines." She actually said, "It's not like I slept with just anyone. I have feelings for him." Oh well, thank God. You see. Read it? It wasn't cheating. It was emotional cheating. So classy. I told her flat out, I want a divorce. Her face dropped, like she hadn't expected me to actually do something about this. She screamed again, called me pathetic, said I was throwing away 5 years over one mistake. I reminded her it wasn't one mistake. It was dozens of rides, hidden messages, secret meetups, and a backseat screw session I had the misfortune of witnessing live. Then, and this is where it gets really she said, "If you think you're getting the apartment, you're out of your mind. So now it's about property. We don't even have kids. No shared business. Just a lease, a joint bank account, and a 5-year lot." I left the apartment that day, stayed at my brother's, but that wasn't the end. Oh no, not even close. The texts started coming, the calls, the drama. Wait till you hear what she did next. So I'm crashing at my brother's place. Shout out to Mark. He's one of those rare people who doesn't need you to say much to understand everything. He handed me a beer, let me sit in silence, and never once asked, "Are you okay?" Because he knew I wasn't. Meanwhile, Melanie starts blowing up my phone like I'm the one who cheated. It started with texts like, "You're seriously overreacting. We can still fix this. I only did it because you've been distant for months." Then it got more unhinged. "You're just doing this to punish me. You always wanted an excuse to leave. You think you're better than me? You sit in your stupid pajamas all day coding while I have to work with people. I needed someone real." Yeah, real like some rando behind the wheel of a rideshare app. I stopped replying, blocked her on everything, told my job I needed a few days off. I needed space, not just from her, but from the rotting smell of that fake life we'd built. But she didn't stop. On day 3, she showed up at my brother's house. No warning, just walked up the porch steps like she lived there, pounded on the door, yelling, "We need to talk." Mark opened the door, saw her wild-eyed and smeared with whatever mascara she hadn't already cried off, and said, "Nah," then shut it in her face. That only made her louder. She started screaming, "He's my husband. You don't get to keep him from me. This isn't over, you coward." My neighbors probably thought it was a rejected Real Housewives audition. Eventually, we had to threaten to call the cops. She left, but not before throwing a full Starbucks cup at Mark's door. Caramel macchiato. Left a sticky mess that I had to clean up later. But it gets worse. The next day, I get a call from my work HR department. Someone, gee, I wonder who, submitted an anonymous tip accusing me of using company devices to harass and monitor my wife. Yeah, she tried to nuke my job. Luckily, I'm squeaky clean, and I work in IT. I literally monitor everyone else. HR laughed it off, but the fact she would go that low, that petty, that vindictive, that's when I stopped feeling heartbroken and started feeling rage. I called my lawyer. I wanted the divorce filed yesterday, and just when I thought that would be the end of it, just paperwork and silence, I find out something else. Mick, the Uber guy? He's not just some random driver. He has a past, and it's about to crash headfirst into mine. So let's talk about Mick. The man who somehow went from Melanie's Uber driver to her amateur therapist to her backseat boy toy. Up until now, I didn't care who he was, just that he existed and that he and my wife had come together in love while he charged her $14.99 a ride. But then Mark, my brother, legend, bloodhound, decided to do some digging. He works in private security, so background checks are basically his love language. A day later, he walks into the living room, tosses a folder on the table, and says, You're gonna want to sit down. Turns out, Mick isn't his real name. His actual name is Mikhail Radovic, and he's not just some random gig worker. He's got a record. A sealed juvenile case in another state. Multiple complaints filed against him from female passengers. Everything from inappropriate comments to suspected groping, but nothing that ever led to charges. Because, of course, these kinds of guys know how to operate just below the legal radar. Even more twisted, he wasn't even a registered Uber driver anymore. His account got deactivated 6 months ago. Melanie had still been using him, but not through the app. She was contacting him directly, scheduling pickups privately, paying him under the table. So yeah, she knew what she was doing, and she knew this guy was shady. I confronted her with this info via email. I laid it all out. Her affair wasn't some spontaneous, emotional accident. She chose this jerk. She invited him into our lives, into our carport, with full knowledge of what he was. Her response? Don't you dare judge him. You don't know him like I do. He's had a hard life. He's real. You don't get that because you live behind screens. I swear to God, if I had $1 for every time a woman defended a red flag waving, emotionally unstable loser as real, I could buy a private island and never hear the word trauma bond again. Then she dropped this gem. At least he made me feel something. Not like living with a robot, right? At this point, my lawyer had already started the divorce filing, but I added something new, a restraining order request, against both of them. Mikhail had been in our apartment complex more than once after I moved out. Our neighbor spotted his car circling the block a few nights in a row. I don't know what his intentions were, but I know enough to not wait around and find out. You'd think that would be the worst of it. You'd be wrong. Because the very next day, I woke up to photos. Printed, glossy, in a manila envelope on my windshield. Photos of me, at my brother's house, on my laptop, in the grocery store. Someone is watching me. Someone left photos of me on my car. Not emailed, not texted. Printed, tucked neatly into a manila envelope. No return info, no note. Just about a dozen glossy 4x6s of me going about my life. Sitting on the porch, loading groceries, typing on my laptop through the window. Even one of me walking the dog I was helping my neighbor watch. All taken from a distance. I know what stalker photos look like. These weren't paparazzi shots. They were close, deliberate, and meant to rattle me. And they did. I showed them to Mark. He went full lockdown mode. Security cameras went up around the house by nightfall. Motion alerts, door sensors, the whole deal. He even parked his own truck behind my car so no one could tailgate me again. We both knew who it was, or at least who paid for it. There's no way Melanie isn't involved. Whether she did it herself or had Mick do it, I don't know. But it's not a coincidence that this started after I filed the restraining order and began the divorce proceedings. The crazy part? The next morning, she had the audacity to text me. I heard you're trying to ruin his life. Mick hasn't done anything wrong. You're just trying to punish us. Us. She actually used that word, like they were Romeo and Juliet, and I was the evil stepfather holding back their tragic love story. She ended it with, "You think you're scaring me with your lawyer games? Go ahead. Let's see what happens." And that's when it hit me. She's unhinged. I always knew Melanie had a flair for drama, but this was different. This was calculated. She wasn't just hurt or guilty. She was playing some twisted power game, like she was trying to win a battle I never signed up for. I didn't respond, but I did double down. My lawyer filed an emergency motion to speed up the restraining order. We submitted the photos, my brother's testimony. We even sent in camera footage from a few days prior, grainy, but you can clearly see a man loitering near the house. Right build, right height, put up, probably Mick. We have a hearing set for next week, but here's the kicker. Last night, Mark and I got an alert from the driveway camera around 2:13 a.m. Someone walked up to my car. They didn't break in. They didn't key it. They just stood there, staring at it, for 10 full minutes. Then they placed another envelope on the windshield. Inside? A photo of Melanie and I from 3 years ago, on vacation in Greece, with her face scratched out. I didn't sleep after we found that envelope. Just sat there in the living room with a bat next to me and my phone in my hand, watching the driveway camera feed like I was guarding a war zone. Every time the wind moved a branch, I flinched. The photo, the one from Greece, was a selfie we took on the cliffs of Santorini. Happy, smiling, oblivious. Someone had taken the time to print it out, cut it perfectly, and scratch Melanie's face out with something sharp, over and over again. Like rage was in every groove. Mark and I reviewed the camera footage again. You couldn't see the guy's face. Hoodie up, face turned, typical, you can't prove anything stalker behavior. But his build? His walk? It looked like Mick. And if it was him, he wasn't being random. He was being personal. The next morning, I went to the police station. Again, this time with everything, the restraining order request, the photos, the vacation picture, the time-stamped camera footage. The officer I spoke with was sympathetic, but basically said, until he threatens you directly or causes damage, This is still in the gray zone. Awesome. So I'm not allowed to wait until after I get stabbed? That night, Melanie texted me again, and this one takes the cake. Why are you trying to ruin Mick's life just because you couldn't keep me happy? You think you're the victim here, but maybe look in the mirror. You ignored me for years. He was there when you weren't. Then the last line, we're in love. And no piece of paper will change that. Okay, lady, go be in love with the guy who haunts carports like a Dollar Tree Dracula. But I wasn't prepared for what happened later that same day. Around 5 p.m., I got a call from our old building manager. Apparently, Melanie and Mick were trying to get into our old apartment. Like, break in. We'd already terminated the lease after I left. It was in both our names, but the keys had been returned. The locks were changed. But she showed up with him and started yelling about retrieving her things, even though she already moved everything out last week. When the building manager said he was calling the police, Mick got in his face, told him he better back off unless he wanted trouble. By the time the cops arrived, they were gone. I reported the whole thing. Again. And now? Now Melanie's posting cryptic stories on social media. Dark quotes, heart emojis, a selfie of her in some car captioned, finally with someone who understands me. Like this is a goddamn romance novel. I wish I could say this was the end, but we're not even close. Because the next day, Mick showed up at my job. So yeah, Mick showed up at my job. Let me set the scene. It's 11:45 a.m. I'm in the middle of a Zoom call with a vendor, and my phone starts blowing up. Text from our building's front desk security. Hey, there's a guy down here asking for you. Won't give a last name. Says his name is Mick. He's getting aggressive. Should we call the cops? I don't even answer. I grab my coat and head down immediately. My office is in a secure building, keycards, front desk check-in, cameras. The fact that this dude thought any part of this was a good idea tells you just how unhinged he is. I get to the lobby, and there he is, standing just inside the glass doors like he owns the place. Sunglasses inside, that smug smirk on his face, arms crossed, like he's here to pick up a DoorDash order and not threaten someone's life. The second he sees me, the smirk drops. He steps forward. The security guy stops him with one hand and says, "Sir, stay where you are." Mick looks right at me and says, "No joke. You think this ends with court? You think she's just yours because you have money and a suit?" I didn't say anything. I just stared. I wanted to say, "You can have her. Take all the chaos with her." But I knew engaging would be a mistake. Security calls the cops right in front of him, and suddenly Mick's tough guy act melts. He backs up, says, "This isn't over," and walks out casual, like he didn't just show up at my *****ing workplace and threaten me in front of witnesses. Police take my statement. Security gives them the footage. It's crystal clear. His face, his voice, everything. This time, they take it seriously. They file an incident report and officially add it to the restraining order proceedings. When I tell my lawyer what happened, he says, "Good. He's just helped us bury him in court." But that wasn't even the wildest part of the day. That night, Melanie texts me again, and now she's desperate. I don't know what to do. He's not who I thought he was. I think I made a mistake. Oh, now she gets it. Now that her discount boyfriend's playing GTA in real life, she suddenly realizes she traded loyalty for lunacy. She ends the message with, "Can I come over? Just to talk?" I don't feel safe. Let that sink in. She cheats, lies, screams, smears me, defends her creepy lover. And now, when he turns out to be exactly the walking red flag I told her he was, she wants to run back? I didn't reply, but I did send her message to my lawyer. And then I triple-locked every door in the house. Because something tells me this isn't just messy anymore. It's dangerous. So I ignored Melanie's message, didn't respond, didn't bite, just forwarded it to my lawyer and stayed quiet. But the silence must have messed with her, because the next day, she showed up at my brother's house. Again, this time, she looked different, not wild and angry like before, scared, pale, no makeup, baggy hoodie, like someone who hadn't slept in days. Mark opened the door. I stood behind him. She saw me, and her face just crumpled. "Please," she said. "I don't have anywhere else to go." Mark looked at me. I gave him a hard shake of the head. He didn't hesitate. Shut the door in her face. She stayed on the porch, knocking for 5 minutes, crying. I stood by the window, watching, waiting for the inevitable switch back to anger. But this time it didn't come. Instead, she slid something under the door. An envelope. Mark picked it up. Inside? Photos. But not of me this time. Of Mick. Sleeping. Smoking on a balcony. Driving. All clearly taken by her. On the back of one photo, scribbled in Sharpie, "You were right. He's dangerous. He's following me now." I swear, if karma had a sound, it was the hollow echo of that envelope scraping across the tile. I didn't know what to think. Was this real? A trick? A setup? Mark said, "Even if she's lying, this guy is still circling your life. We need to end this. Fast." So we called the police. Again. This time, We handed over everything: Melanie's messages, the photos she gave us, security footage, my witness statement, Mark's. Our lawyer filed for an emergency hearing on the restraining order. The judge approved it that night. A cop showed up at Mick's known address. Turns out he's been couch surfing with some friend in a sketchy part of town and served him on the spot. He's officially barred from coming near me, my family, my job, and now, thanks to Melanie's own testimony, her too. And get this. The officer said Mick lost it when he was served. Tried to argue, said she's mine now. He doesn't get to take her back. They had to escort him out in cuffs for resisting. Not charged, yet, but it's on the record. And Melanie? She's gone silent. Not a text, not a story, not a single cryptic quote. Something tells me she's finally scared enough to shut up. But I'm not celebrating yet. Because when someone like Mick feels cornered, they don't disappear quietly. So after Mick got served with the restraining order and had his little meltdown on the sidewalk, I thought maybe, things would finally start to calm down. Spoiler, they didn't. 2 days later, I get a call from a blocked number at 2:36 in the morning. I don't answer, obviously. I'm not dumb enough to pick up unknown calls during a stalker saga. But curiosity eats at me, so I check the voicemail. It's short, just breathing, no words. Just this heavy, shaky, slow breathing for a solid 19 seconds before it cuts off. I know that voice. Even behind the static and the rage leaking through every breath, I know it's Mick. I forward the voicemail to my lawyer and the police. They say it's technically not a violation of the restraining order unless he communicates something direct, but it's added to the case. Fine. Legal gray area. Whatever. But then I get a knock on the door the next morning. It's Melanie. Again. Except this time she doesn't scream, doesn't cry, doesn't even try to come inside. She stands there, arms crossed, shaking, and says, "He was in my apartment last night." I blink. What do you mean? In? I don't know how he got in. I came home, and he was just there, sitting on the couch like he lived there. I ask her if she called the cops. She says no. She panicked and told him to leave. He did, but not before telling her, "You can run back to him, but I'll always know where you are." And then, get this, he left a ring on her coffee table. Not my ring, not anything she ever owned. Just some creepy, oversized, silver monstrosity with a cracked redstone. She showed it to me, like that meant something, like I could protect her now, and maybe I could have, before she blew our lives up for this lunatic. But I told her flat out, go to the police, file your own report, fix your own mess. You made your choice. She looked stunned, like it never occurred to her that the safety net might be gone. She left. I haven't seen her since. But then today, I found something taped to my front door. A note, handwritten in the same chicken scratch I saw on the back of that Grease photo. "We were a family until you ruined it. You don't get to walk away clean." No name, no threats, just venom. Police took it as evidence. Another report, another log, another line added to the file that's starting to look like a horror movie script. I don't sleep much anymore. I triple check every window. I carry pepper spray and a pocket knife just walking to my car. I've moved most of my stuff out of Mark's and into a short-term rental across town that no one knows about, not even Melanie. But I know this isn't over, because you can't reason with people who don't live in reality. And Mick? He's not just delusional. He's escalating. I wish I were making this next part up. I really do. After that handwritten note on my door, I moved out immediately, packed everything in one night, left behind half my clothes, and relocated to a furnished short-term rental on the opposite side of the city. I didn't tell anyone the address, not even Mark, just in case. The paranoia was eating me alive. Every time a car drove by too slowly, I froze. Every knock at the door felt like a threat. I started carrying more than a pocket knife, but I still wasn't prepared for what happened last night. It was around 3:20 a.m. when my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the door cam at Mark's place. I'd forgotten to disconnect it after moving. At first I ignored it, thinking it was just a raccoon or a late food delivery. But then I checked the feed. There he was, Mick, just standing on Mark's porch, wearing a hoodie. Again, face partially covered. Again, just standing there, staring into the camera like he knew we were watching. Then he pulled something out of his coat. At first I thought it was a phone. Nope, it was a gun. He raised it, not at the door, just up, like a threat, like a message. Then he looked straight into the camera lens and smiled, held it for a few seconds, then walked off into the night like it was just another Tuesday. I called Mark immediately. He didn't even wake up. He sleeps like a damn log. But when I finally reached him, he checked his porch. No sign of the guy, no damage, no shell casings. But now? This isn't just harassment. It's a direct threat. We called the police again, and this time, they finally took it as a criminal escalation. They've opened a case file on Mick for stalking, intimidation with a weapon, and violation of the restraining order. It's official. He's being investigated. And I swear to God, I will press charges with everything I've got. And Melanie? I haven't heard a word. but something tells me she has. Because I just got a message from a burner email with only one sentence. You dragged him into this. Now you'll see what that costs. No name, no signature, just that. I showed it to the detective assigned to the case. He's escalating it to cyber crimes. But unless they can trace it, it's just more pressure, more fear. I never wanted any of this. I was a married man living a boring, normal life until my wife decided to get emotional support from a psycho in a Corolla. Now I'm looking over my shoulder like I'm in a mob movie. And the worst part is, it still isn't over. The day after Mick flashed the gun on Mark's porch, the police called me back. They identified the weapon from the footage, not a toy, not a prop, a real firearm. And Mick has no license for it. That alone could land him in jail if they catch him. Problem is he's gone. Evicted from where he was couch surfing. Phone number disconnected. Socials wiped. No trace. It's like he vanished. Except, of course, he hasn't. Because 2 days ago, Melanie showed up at a precinct, shaking, crying, totally unrecognizable from the woman who once called me pathetic for folding towels the wrong way. She told them Mick had broken into her place again. No signs of forced entry. Just in, waiting, quiet. She said he sat in the dark and asked her if she still loved him. She tried to play along, said yes, tried to calm him down, but he started crying, then shouting, then threw a glass at the wall. Then, according to her, he said, he ruined us. You can't love me while he's still breathing. That's what finally broke her. She left, ran out barefoot into the hallway, and begged a neighbor to call 911. By the time officers got there, gone. She's staying in a hotel now, under an alias. Cops suggested it. She's finally scared enough to stop trying to spin this like some misunderstood romance. And here's where it gets surreal. Today, I got a call from Melanie. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. I almost deleted it. But something morbid curiosity, maybe closure, made me listen. Her voice was quiet, flat, like someone who finally ran out of lies. I don't know if you'll even hear this, but you were right about all of it. I thought I needed something real, and I ended up in a nightmare. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you, to us. You didn't deserve it. Then silence. And then, if anything happens to me, tell my mom I loved her. I just sat there, phone in hand, heart pounding. Because as much as I hated what she did to me, the lies, the gaslighting, the manipulation, I don't want her dead. And Mick? He's still out there, but the cops are closing in. They're tracking his last phone GPS ping, pulling traffic cam footage, checking known contacts. They've issued a bench warrant for him now. They even think he may be armed and mentally unstable, so they've flagged it as high risk. And now I wait and pray he doesn't show up one more time. Because if he does, I don't know what will happen. I didn't think I'd be posting again this soon, but it happened. They caught him. It was late last night when I got the call from the detective. Mick was found about 2 towns over, sleeping in a stolen sedan behind a 24-hour laundromat. The car wasn't his. The plates were flagged from a report earlier that day. Cops ran up on him quick, weapons drawn. He had a knife in the glove compartment. No gun on him. Turns out, the one he waved on Mark's porch was stolen, too. They found it dumped in a storm drain not far from where he'd been squatting. He didn't resist, didn't say a word, just let them cuff him and take him in. He's being charged with violation of a protective order ×2. Stalking, possession of a stolen weapon, breaking and entering, criminal intimidation. More charges might follow depending on what the DA digs up from his phone, which, yes, they seized. It was wiped clean, but forensics is working on it. I should feel relieved, right? But honestly, I just feel empty. Melanie called me today. Again, I let it go to voicemail, like always. Her voice this time was defeated. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I just wanted you to know. I never thought it would get this far. Too little, too late. I told my lawyer I want the divorce finalized immediately. No mediation, no negotiation. I'm walking away from everything. Let her keep the furniture, the dishes, hell, the TV too. All I want is freedom. And for once, I think I'm going to get it. But even with Mick behind bars, there's this feeling I can't shake. Like I've been living inside someone else's twisted drama for so long, I forgot what normal even feels like. My therapist, yes, I finally started seeing one, told me this kind of trauma has layers. That betrayal plus fear doesn't just go away because a court date is set. But at least now, I can see the end of the road. No more late-night voicemails. No more photos on windshields. No more broken promises and red flags wrapped in lipstick and perfume. Just a broken marriage, a legal case, and a long walk back to peace. It's been a week since Mick was arrested, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I slept through the night. No late-night alerts. No envelopes. No texts from Melanie. Just quiet. Unfamiliar. Healing quiet. The cops say he's not getting out anytime soon. Between the stolen gun, the stalking, the restraining order violations, and Melanie's official statement, the judge denied bail. His arraignment is in 2 weeks. I won't be there. I've said what I needed to say, and the legal system can finish the rest. As for Melanie, she finally stopped calling. The last message she left, and yeah, I listened to it, was barely a whisper. You don't owe me anything, but I'll always regret what I did. I let something ugly into our lives, and now I can't take it back. That was the first time she didn't blame me, didn't redirect, just regret, raw and ugly and maybe finally real. But it doesn't change the damage. You can't unbreak something that shattered this violently. The divorce papers are signed. My lawyer submitted them yesterday. It's done. Just like that. 5 years of marriage boiled down to a signature and a silence that feels more honest than anything we said to each other in our last year together. I'm still in the short-term rental, but I've started looking at places of my own. Something small, clean. No memories soaked into the walls. No ghosts of before floating in every corner. Mark and I talk every day. My therapist says that's good. Routine, support, a reminder that I'm not alone. Turns out having one healthy relationship in your life is more valuable than all the fake ones combined. I don't feel angry anymore, or scared. I just feel free. And maybe that's the point. Sometimes it's not about revenge, or closure, or answers. Sometimes survival is the victory. It's over. Officially. The divorce finalized yesterday. No courtroom drama. No final standoff. Just a signed document. A quiet nod from my lawyer, and a weight that lifted so suddenly it left me dizzy. I walked out of that office and sat in my car for 10 minutes, just breathing, not crying, not shaking, just still. For the first time in months, Melanie didn't contest anything. No calls, no appearances, no parting shots. She signed her half and vanished. I don't know where she is. I don't need to. Whatever story she's living now with or without Mick, with or without healing, isn't mine anymore. She burned that bridge down to ash. Mick, as far as I know, is still behind bars. The trial's pending, but I won't be following it. I gave my testimony. I handed over the evidence. That chapter's closed. If justice happens, it happens. I'm done watching monsters dance for attention. As for me, I signed a lease on a new place this morning. A modest one-bedroom with a little balcony, clean white walls, and not a single memory attached to it. It doesn't feel like home yet, but it feels like a beginning. I'm back at work, reconnected with old friends. My therapist says I'm in the reconstruction phase, whatever that means, but it sounds about right. Like I'm putting bricks back into place one at a time. I'm not looking for another relationship, not anytime soon, but I am starting to remember who I was before all this, before the lies, the madness, the cameras, the notes, the breathing voicemails in the dark. And honestly, that guy was pretty solid. He just forgot his worth, and now he's rebuilding it. If you've been following this story, thank you. Strangers on the internet carried me through when the people closest to me either betrayed me or didn't know how to help. This place, as chaotic as it can be, gave me clarity when everything else blurred. So here it is. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't make excuses for cruelty. And don't let someone else's chaos become your new normal. You deserve peace. You deserve real love. And sometimes, you only find it after you've walked through hell to remember what heaven isn't. Opie, signing off.